Two South Florida cities, Doral and Miami-Dade and Weston and Broward, are home to the largest Venezuelan exile communities in the U.S.
Which makes the crisis there particularly important to South Florida. This week, one of our colleagues at ABC News documented the country's descent into economic and social chaos, a shortage of basic supplies, staggering inflation, a backlash in the streets against the Nicolas Maduro government, and that government's crackdown on speech and liberties. Frank Mora is the director of the Latin American and Caribbean Studies Center at Florida International University and has served as Deputy Secretary for Defense for the Western Hemisphere under President Obama. Elena Poleo is a Venezuelan-American journalist who runs her own strategic communication firm in Miami. And welcome both.
We are so glad you came in.
Thank you.
Dr. Mora, we have said on this program, other media as well, for weeks, for months, that the situation in Venezuela is dire, but we continue to have to say that. How bad is it?
Yeah, I also say, it's reached bottom and it keeps digging down even further. Right. I think we have to start from the premise that now we have a failed state, a dictatorship that is really governing a failed state. And I think that distinction is important, Michael, because legally speaking within the Western Hemisphere, countries in the Western Hemisphere can invoke a treaty that really puts enormous, or can put enormous pressure on the Venezuelan government.
Through the OAS?
Through the OAS, known as the Inter-American Democratic Charter. Now, there's not been any political will among Venezuela's neighbors to do that. Right. But I think it's important to start thinking of Venezuela in those terms, because the situation is so polarized that I really don't see a way out of this, either legally or through dialogue at the moment. And I fear that we might find a sort of Tunisian situation where a vegetable or vendor sort of burned himself up. We're waiting for that spark that could be produced and triggered in Venezuela.
Just to put some numbers on this, the reports this week, 82% of Venezuelans now live in poverty. More than half, 52%, in extreme poverty. Helena, this is sort of the country that used to be the oil-rich beauty queen capital of the world. And as we talk, let's look at some of the video that reporter Matt Gutman with ABC News brought out this week of people protesting. We think of dictatorship, socialist governments. We don't think of people so freely protesting. How is that happening there?
Well, they're freely protesting up to a point. They do get thrown in jail and they get shot at. So I don't know that you can say that they're freely protesting. The government is smart in the sense that they allow a certain amount of protesting so that they can mask as a democratic government. And the truth is that they are not, because they do throw these students in jail. These people end up in jail. We have two major mayors that are in jail, Leopoldo Lopez, who used to be mayor, and then Antonio Ledesma. He's actually mayor now, and he's been in jail for 2 years, and Leopoldo Lopez on his 3rd year. So it's not, you cannot say that they are protesting freely. It's really not accurate.
And it's just worth it to say that Matt Gutman was actually, and his crew were actually detained for a few days.
So you can't really say
and the government did throw out CNN in Espanol, and they've...
And NTN 24. So CNN is actually the second station that they throw out. And I'd like to point out, as to free press, most of the TV stations are all controlled by the government one way or another. My family's newspaper and magazine we're in the middle of a lawsuit against PDVSA. They sued us for reprinting basically a Bloomberg cable. So there is no free press.
PDVSA, we should point out, is the state-owned and run oil magnate.
So it's the same thing as the government suing us.
Yeah. Well, this week, Frank, I thought there was a very good moment in Washington, where the wife of Leopoldo Lopez, the opposition leader who's been in jail for what?
3 years so far.
Yeah, she appeared at the White House. There was a photo that the president tweeted out, and he essentially said freedom for Leopoldo Lopez and other opponents. I guess the question is, he has to back that up with some action.
Yeah,
What's he going to
do? Backing up, President Obama essentially enacted what's known as the Kingpin list, which is sort of a blacklist where people accused of corruption and human rights are put on this list and sanctioned economically. There were about 6 people on this list. Right. President Trump has added an additional person. The vice president of Venezuela is now on this list.
Tarek
al-Assami, who is, exceedingly corrupt and probably ties to other non-state actors. And so there is, I hope, a movement on the part of President Trump. But more importantly, I think it's Venezuela's neighbors that need to come up to bat and start putting pressure. It can't be the United States. It can't just be the United States. It could be counterproductive.
Well,
so it's
if
important
the
for
United
Colombia.
States, excuse me.
Yeah.
If it's the United States, then Maduro can say, oh, we're being pressured by the United States, and the big, ugly, imperialist nation from the north is trying to dictate our future.
Which is exactly what he does. And in fact, when the day after Lilian Tintori, Leopoldo Lopez's wife, met with Trump and Senator Marco Rubio, the Supreme Court ratified his being in jail for 14 years. That is the time that he is supposed to be in jail. So now his only
and he
chance.
did not commit any violent
No,
act.
absolutely
he simply
not.
stood up in public and opposed the
And
Maduro
protested.
regime and protested.
So therefore, he has been put in jail for 14 years in solitary confinement in a military jail. This is, and when I talk about solitary confinement, I'm talking about one cell with an empty tower. Complete solitary confinement.
You know, Roger Noriega, who is the former Assistant Secretary of State under George W. Bush, he had said this week, I read it to a reporter, I read it somewhere this week, that the list you were talking about, the Obama administration specifically backed off sanctions in Venezuela to pressure the opposition groups to negotiate with the government. Would you react to that?
I think that's initially correct. I don't think backing off, but all the paperwork was ready to put al-Assimi on the list. The administration pushed back in the hope that that dialogue that was ongoing and that was supported by the Vatican and others would gain traction. It did not. President Obama left office. And now I think President Trump is trying to up the ramping, we hope, because we don't know what the follow-up will be. Ultimately, it cannot be just the United States. This is important. It has to be Venezuela's neighbors and the international community, because the Venezuelan government is not going to cede any space.
So because politics and the social fabric are so intertwined as we see, is this, what, nothing less than regime change to help the Venezuelan people?
Well, I mean, what we're seeing is, I think he couldn't have said it better. I mean, Frank, that we need to see the countries that surround Venezuela really step up to the plate. Anything that the U.S. does will be seen as, aggression, and they will use that for their own propaganda. So, and they've already been using it. In fact, the day after he was placed in this kingpin list, and we should point out that Tarek al-Assami has many properties in South Florida that have been seized, millions of dollars, the day after they were dancing on national television because they were saying, look at how they're hurting us and we're dancing. So it has to be the neighbors, absolutely.
And I don't know Mr. al-Assami, he says he's innocent. He is, I saw the Herald reported the other day, a member of the Doral National Golf Club Resort out here. And how ironic that in a community full of Venezuelans, that this guy who is accused of being a narco trafficker and ties to Hezbollah, can come here for the weekend, stay in a multi-million-dollar condo, and go play golf out in Doral.
He's not the only one either.
That's right.
And in fact, there is a big movement to identify these Venezuelans that have stolen money from the country, and he's not the only one.
A movement
by local Venezuelans here to identify.
Yeah, Frank, not to put too fine a point on it, but would you just speak to the fact that it's not in the interest of the United States or our neighbors to the south in Latin America, Central America, to have a failed state? I mean, the ramifications are really dangerous.
We're seeing already. You see, if you look at the Venezuelan-Colombian border, it's really an ungoverned space. And you see Venezuelans leaving the country. The traffic of all kinds of things, licit and illicit on the traffic, is creating a security problem for Colombia.
Right.
On the other side, you have a problem with Guyana on a number of issues having to do with oil. So that, in a sense, that failed state or that weak state, I think will create repercussions beyond. For example, the Caribbean countries who depend on Venezuelan oil, who receive Venezuelan oil, if that's closed off because Venezuela just simply can't do it, it creates an economic, political crisis on those islands.
Or huge consequences here for what happens in Venezuela, South Florida, throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. Helen, Elena, permiso. Thank you for coming, and Dr. Frank Moore, thank you.
Great to see you.
Sure.
After the break, we take this and so much more to the Powerhouse Roundtable. Stay with us.